Go.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Cheryl Chapman, the Radio Works World Roving Reporter, speaking to you today from Barnsley in North Yorkshire in the UK. That's right, ladies and gents, I'm at home. Yay! So thank you to Marina for inviting me on her show. Marina, how are you today?
Wow, Sheila, I'm so excited to be here with you. I never know what you are going to open up into my mind. So I can't wait. And I'm sure our listeners are taking notes already. Over to you.
Okay. So I've been traveling a lot, as you know, as your listeners will know as well. And I've come back from being in Australia, Canada. I went across to Thailand. With Marion, who's another Radio Works World reporter. And we had a great time looking at retreats for our retreats in February of next year for our wise women. And since we've come back, we've just been kind of doing a little bit of regrouping, because I don't know if yourself or the listeners find that sometimes when you get into flow, you know, you're just going and going and going, and then all of a sudden you kind of think, oh, hang on a minute, where are we? What have we been doing? You know, what is it that people really need our help with? You know, and let's just talk to a few of our customers and see what they want. So we've been doing that. Over the last few weeks, we've been running our mentorship program with a group of wise women from Canada and also a group of wise women in the UK. And we've really just been looking at what's been happening in the world. It's been a bit crazy, don't you think? There's been a lot of changes, Marina, in the last few months, you know, since we spoke, really.
Well, you are right, but actually the changed outlook gave me the chance personally, I don't know about our listeners and how they would relate to this, to look at myself, look in the mirror and see what is that I got? What is that I got and it's so abundant that I could give and give and give and never run out? And I realized that I could actually go even deeper and see that I have an inner teacher. And then see that I have a great vision, a crazy vision. And originally it was a dream, but I turned it into a vision. And I think right now is the time for me, I don't know about our listeners, but for me, I feel is the right time to endorse my own vision and take leadership of my own life and not necessarily ignore the noise outside, but make sure that whatever happens, happens. And whatever it is in my own power to create and deliver, it is my divine duty. Because we have this tendency to create, and then when it comes to delivering, I don't know why, but is this social conditioning? Perhaps you could explain more about this, but something happens that after you've done it all, after you put your heart and soul in what you created, regardless a book or a video or just a message, or perhaps your online program, you start thinking, maybe it's not that good. Maybe there are other people there so much better than me. How can I compete with them? And guess what? Who is competing against who? You are competing against yourself. And this is what the changes around me, who were created, generated by other people, don't necessarily affect me. But I'm very grateful that I got to think about myself in a different way and keep myself responsible for my own actions, for my own vision, and get my hands dirty and start working at it, building that vision in a way that could accommodate as many people as possible. And at Radio Works World, we created this large community. We have radio hosts and reporters from broadcasting from 26 countries now. And the short-term vision, by the end of the year, we have to accommodate another 74 countries to come in and broadcast and share their passion, share their inner greatness, and see where that takes us. So this is what happened since we last talked.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. Like, there's a lot going on. I'm sure that you're like me, will be very, very interested to see how your company grows. And it's really great to get different perspectives from other people as well, because you know it's just an amazing world that we live in. But I agree with you, Marina, in the fact that I think that change is good. I mean, at the end of the day, if we didn't change, if we didn't evolve, if we didn't, you know, create new things, if we didn't create ourselves, you know, reinvent ourselves, then it'd be pretty boring, really. And I don't think that that's what life's about. I think that life is definitely about living, growing, and experiencing. You know, regardless of what religion you believe in, or if you believe in a religion at all, you know, life is definitely for living. But I've been looking at some of the changes that have been going on. I mean, obviously now we've got a female prime minister, which is a big change for this country. You know, since we've been away, we've come out of Europe. You know, lots of changes have been going on. And I think that people are resistant to change, that they don't really like changes. But I've also noticed that whether or not it's to do with us coming out of Europe, whether or not there's a feeling of maybe nervousness or uncertainty around at the minute, but some people seem to be going backwards. So what do I mean by that? Well, I think that in businesses, people are coming from a place of fear, if that makes sense. They're coming from a place of fear, and I think that they're going back to what they know. So if the company's not making as much money as they thought it would do, they're cutting costs, they start taking control. And it really made me think about the kind of leadership that I was privy to back in the 80s. Because in the 80s, there was a lot of controlling going on. And I think that there's two types of leaders. I mean, there'll be variations on the theme, but just top level, there are the leaders who control and command. And for something like the forces, you know, the army, the navy, you know, yes, of course, I kind of understand that there are elements of, you know, get your head down because someone's about to shoot it off. You know, if people start going, oh, well, what do you mean I need to get my head, you know, the head's gone. I get it. You know, some people have to take orders in extreme cases like that. But we don't live in a war zone. You know, in the UK, we live in a fairly free society. And I don't think that controlling and commanding people gets the best out of them. In fact, I did a little blog this week about this. And it's just saying that I think that when people start to control people by fear, that it leads to a number of traits. So first of all, I think paranoia sets in. I think paranoia sets in for the leader because they don't trust anybody. They think everybody's trying to screw them over. They try to take control by doing all the jobs themselves. People feel micromanaged in these kind of situations, you know, or they're given like really boring jobs to do. I believe that the leader is rigid. And I remember a quote about one of the really bad weather storms in America, and all the big kind of like trees, you know, the ones that have been there for years, were uprooted because they were so rigid and formed in the ground that they were literally just uprooted. And yet plants like willow trees and bamboo, you know, they're so flexible. Even if the weather's really stormy, they still kind of bend and flow. So I think poor leaders are rigid. I think that they're indifferent. They kind of forget that people are not where they are. You know, people don't have the years of experience that they have. And so they try to talk down at people. People, you know, they don't recognize that people are just starting out and trying to do their best. I think that the leaders wear a disguise. So I think really poor leaders are not the same. You know, it kind of reminds us that they're not the same on stage as they are off stage. They hide behind a persona. They kind of wear armor to protect themselves. And then ultimately, I think they're egocentric. And I think that they think that the business is just about them. They have no feelings or desires for other people. And interestingly, those 5 points spell the word pride, Pride. And there's a saying that pride comes before a fall. And I think that if these leaders adopt this kind of competitive attitude, which is what you talked about there is no competition. There's enough space for everybody in the world, but they go to this competitive, controlling, fear kind of you know, from a place of fear to control people. I think that they need to change, because if they don't, they're just going to they'll self-implode. And even if they didn't self-implode, their life must be so bloody miserable, don't you think? So I don't know if you, if any of your, your readers know anybody like that, or listeners know anybody like that. Do you recognise some of those traits, Marina? Now, here's the thing. I'm in Yorkshire, in England, and I don't even know whether or not the recording is working. So I've travelled all around the world and had great reception. Now I'm not sure. So, Marina, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. So I totally agree with what you said. I love the metaphor about the trees, because in one way or the other, each one of us is a tree who grew from a little seed at some point, and some of us grew into bearing fruit trees. Some of us grew into beautiful trees who help the scenery to look better, enchant the eyes, and increase the oxygen level. so all depends what sort of seed you are coming from, but in effect is something that nobody can control.
No.
You are you, and you grow into what you are designed to grow into, what your DNA, your dream, the DNA of your dream is making you. So to me, I remember that when I first heard this quote, changed my life basically. So it says that a true leader is going to turn the back on his army or her army to lead them. You can't go backwards. Because you are not going to serve the people you lead unless you turn your back on them. So when I realized, I just imagined that all my thoughts, my dreams are the army following me, and I have to lead. I have to go places. I have to lead the way. I have to show the way, and I have to know the way. So then I realized that when you align your emotions, when you align your actions or your beliefs and your values, that's enough. But they leave out their emotions. So I think emotional evolution is crucial, because in terms of information, is so much available. You Google anything, you Google any word, any idea, it is already out there. But what makes the difference and what makes you lead your own life, what makes you become the best you can be, the best version of yourself, are your emotions. And your emotions are based on your previous experiences. And I realize that when people talk about their product, they miss out the fact that nobody wants to buy a product. Nobody wants to buy another product. Personally, I look at somebody and I don't see their product. I don't think I'm interested in their product, but when I see them and I connect with them and I feel that we have something that, or they have something that resonates with me, then I will buy anything from them. So in a way, we lead our life and we go through all sorts of obstacles. And you mentioned business and the business environment. But we have to remember that hard sell is not anymore viable. When you have a business or you have an idea, the product doesn't really matter. It's not about the product. It's about you. It's about your emotion. It's about how much you believe in what you are offering. And even if you have nothing to sell, for instance, because I love you so much, I will buy anything from you. So you see, it's not your product that interests me. Is you, how you lead your life, who you truly are behind the scene. It's almost like I made this this remark recently that we have conversation with our radio host, for example, before the show. First, we are off air, and they talk with passion, and oh, it's just amazing. I think, you know what? This is sinful. We have to share. What's the point in talking off air when we could put this on air and give everyone the chance to listen to what you have to say? And this is exactly what's happening in real life. You meet people and they offer you something, and perhaps it's very, very good. But unless you feel a connection with the person who is offering you what they have, you will be reluctant to go any further. And basically, you only have 3 seconds to grab someone's undivided attention. So it is a lot to do with the copywriting of your dream. How would you express your idea, your offerings? So in not so many words, I think crafting your message is very important when you have something to deliver. It's very important when you already have something which is created, it's ready to go, but you are not sure if it's the right thing simply because you can't buy it yourself. So once you can buy it yourself, then it's easy to deliver. The word will come to you, and you'll find it very, very easy to relate with your ideal client. And they will come to you instead of you going to them. So I'm not quite sure if this explains the way I lead my life and the way I see my own life purpose evolving. But I think at some point or another, leadership is not necessarily about other people and leading other people. Is about yourself. Is about endorsing your own vision and becoming your authentic leader.
Yeah, it makes total sense, Marina, because interesting, when we were doing a bit of regrouping and, and I was looking at the changes in the world, we were just having a look at some other collaboration, and some connections that were in the world, like the one that we have with you. And we've been looking at a conscious marketing approach, which is exactly what you're saying, because I agree. I mean, I think the world, pretty much the world's jaded. We've kind of been to seminars, we've been promised, that X, Y, and Z will happen, and in most cases it doesn't. I mean, there are a lot of good courses out there, of course there are, but there are some people who over deliver and under promise, and I think that gives, those people, like myself and Marion and yourself, that are trying to give, really quality information to people, quality courses. It kind of gives everybody a bit of a bad name, which is really, really sad. So we were just looking at, a different way of marketing, and we came across a company called W.O.R.K.S.WORLD. They're very conscious. They're looking for green, non-toxic type of products, open and honesty. And we were laughing because our brand, for the Find Your Why is hearts. And so they came back to me and said, "Are you a dating coach?" And like we were just laughing our heads off, because I mean, I've not been single since I was 15. I've had, 4 husbands, 2 of the living variety and 2 that involved wedding cake. And I was kind of like, well, I can see why they might think I was a dating coach, but I was like, but they don't know anything about this. So like, where did this even come from? And they said, no, it's just that you've got hearts on everything. So we thought it must be to do with love. And I said, oh no, like that's because I'm a heartfelt leader. I lead with my heart. And they were like, oh, right. And I said, and it's not just about having the hearts. It's about the fact that, when you share what you genuinely believe in, when you share the way that you live your life, and Marion and I always say, we don't know everything. We don't claim to know everything. Nobody knows everything in the world. But, we've been around for over 100 years. If you put our ages together, we've had some ups and downs of life, and so we've got some experience. Let's put it that way. But the whole idea about being a heart-centered leader, and again, I can give you an acronym, is humility. I don't know everything. We don't brag about everything that we do. I'm not telling you how much money I've got in my bank or I haven't, because quite frankly, you can't spend it. So who cares what's in my bank account? Who cares what's in your bank account? But we have a consistent message. We've got the confidence to say that we genuinely believe that people who work with us undergo a change for the better, because we've got evidence, because we engage with our audiences, we get engaged with our potential clients. Even if they don't buy anything from us, we're still engaged and we're still interested in women of a certain age, so 35 plus. We do work with men, by the way. There's a bit of a fallacy that we don't work with any men at all. Well, we do. But here's the interesting thing. Most of the men that Marion and I work with are on a one-to-one basis. They don't want to be in a group session. They want to be, you know, one-on-one, so they get the personal kind of approach, but also because men generally don't share as much as women. You get a gaggle of women together and we'll talk for hours. But you put some men in the room and most of the time the conversation's a little bit shorter. Not every man I know, but the majority. So, you know, heartfelt is humility. Don't know everything. We're not there to brag about it. It's not a competition. It's about working with other people and getting the best for the whole group, not just for one person. Engaging means that we're interested in what other people have got to say. You know, we're interested in other people's opinions. We ask people, you know, what do you think of the work that we're doing with you? Is there anything that you don't like? You know, maybe we could look at that and see if we could change it. We're really authentic, you know. So Marion wears, you know, no makeup. She's not going to suddenly start wearing makeup, you know, if she's online, because she doesn't do it. She's not going to suddenly start tidying her house, because her house is like, you know, a scene out of, you know, Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's got trinkets and you know, and tokens all over the place, because she's travelled the world. You know, I'm not going to stop swearing because somebody doesn't like me swearing, because then I'm not being true to myself. And I always swear if I'm pitching, or if I'm, you know, you'll hear me say shit or something like that, because if I don't swear and then you think that you're buying, you know, a non-swearing Cheryl, well, I'm going to swear when we're mentoring. I'm going to be quite open and honest and upfront, because that's who I am. So no point pretending I'm not. But at the same time, I'm vulnerable. So a lot of people think that I'm strong, you know, I never have a bad day. What a load of bollocks. Of course I have a bad day. You know, some days I get out of bed and I could have an argument with myself for no apparent reason, because I'm a human being. So, you know, like, we are very authentic, and that's what we love about you, Marina, and that's what your listeners will love about you, is like, you're just real. You're not trying to be anybody that you think everybody else wants you to be. You're just who you are. You know, we're respectful. So we respect other human beings, and we don't get it right every time. So, you know, sometimes, you know, someone might say, oh, I'd much prefer if you didn't do this and did that. Well, as long as it's not, you know, going to lead to someone being inauthentic, then yeah, of course we'll try anything. But ultimately, I think that a heartfelt leader needs to trust, because if you don't trust anybody else, I think that's just a sad place to be. So, you know, if you lead with your heart, then you're able to, people will follow you, but not because you are in control. Does that make sense? It's more to do with the fact that they just want to lead, they want to follow you because they want to be around you, you know, like you're good fun, you know, they resonate with you, you're on the same page, you know, whatever you want to call it. And one of the leaders that I love, and there are very few men who say they are heart-led leaders, but Richard Branson, for me, like, wins hats down, because you know, he talks about a company of people. You know, people are what makes a company, and employees want to know, you know, they want to know that people are listening to them. They don't want to be a number, they don't want to be a cog in the wheel, and that's the same if you're a solo entrepreneur and you're using contractors, or if you're running a business that's got, you know, 5,000-6,000 people working for them. But ultimately, I think that the heartfelt leader isn't necessarily just in business. It's leading your troop, you know, it's leading the people who follow you, it's leading your raving fans, it's leading your customer, not into buying something from you that they don't need, but it's leading them into a new way of life, you know, because if they've got problems in their life, they are going to need to do something differently, and that may well be buying a product, but it might just be that they just want to be inspired by somebody, you know, that they can follow around the world, or they can listen to, that's going to help motivate them. And, you know, and if we can do that through collaboration and connection, then I think that just shows how outdated controlling, you know, and commanding leaders are. And when I say leaders, I don't necessarily mean just in business. I mean generally in life. So yeah, so I agree with you. It is about just being who you are, standing for what you believe is right. It might not be right for everybody, but then that's fine, because the people that don't resonate with you, they'll go and find somebody that they do resonate with. So yeah, it's a really interesting time at the moment. I think the key is knowing who you are, knowing who you genuinely are, and being aware of what's holding you back as an individual. You know what great traits you've got and how you can use those. But just being honest with yourself. You know, if you're in a place where you get up every day and you go, "Oh my God, I really hate my life," then change something, because you know that's what change is for. Evolve, adapt. It doesn't mean to say that you go into work and resign from your job and then you don't know where the next penny's coming from, or you're not able to put food on the table, but you can make small changes that can just lead to bigger changes along the way. And I think it's a good time to be alive, because you know, we can do so many things online, reach so many people across the world, you know, a drop of a button. You know, this brilliant radio Works World that you've set up, Marina, is like a really great way of connecting and just looking for people who want to collaborate, you know. So I'd be interested in knowing, you know, who's out there in your world of listeners that is interested in, you know, the same type of customer that we are, 35 plus women who are going through the change, or men who are going through a change. And it's a change, not necessarily the change. You know, because if people are out there struggling because they've had a disappointment in life, or there's been a death, or they feel like they've been deserted, then they don't have to figure it out on their own. And they don't have to do it on their own either, because, you know, that's one of the reasons why Marion and I came together, because she's got some absolutely unbelievable strengths, you know, and I've got some strengths that are not the same as hers, but together, you know, we can really collaborate and give a much better all-rounded you know, offer, you know, to our clients. And that's really what it's about, because if you can help one person, you know, if one person's life changes for the better because of what you do, then, you know, that's a big tick in the box for me. I mean, you know, yes, of course, you know, there has to be money involved and you have to sell some products, but like, I agree with you, Marina. You know, I think people follow you for who you are. And the more that is true, and honest and open and authentic, I think that people will just cut through the bullshit these days. I think we all have big bullshit filters. We've heard it so many times. Does that make sense, Marina?
Absolutely. I don't know, Cheryl, if you have these messages like I do. Oh, can I please pick your brain up? And I'm thinking, oh, really? No, thank you very much. I know my worth. So yeah. I have a program for that topic. If you really want to pick my brain, it's all there. I structure it, it's transferable, buy it and use it, it's yours. But you see, I think people who don't understand their true worth, they tend to think that because they don't understand their worth, everybody else should give themselves away for free. But guess what happens? What happens next is that there will be no results. And I am personally obsessed by fast results. Yes. So a commitment from me is a total commitment. It's never half commitment. But my client need to understand that it's not about me. Pay for enrolling into a program or educating themselves to gain a certain set of tools and know how to use them to create better life choices, is not even about them. It's about the people who are going to benefit from them investing in themselves. So I learned from my own experience, and I know that commitment is a word that most people will pronounce it, but they will never hear it. Commitment comes from yourself, toward yourself. So even you'll hire other people, or you'll pay for a service or certain tools or a piece of equipment, is not relevant. Is the fact that you understand your true worth and you decide to say yes to yourself. You decide to invest in yourself. So when I'm buying a program from you, Cheryl, I'm not paying you. I'm paying myself. I'm investing in myself, because I believe with what I'm receiving from you, I could grow myself into the person I need to be to deliver my own life mission, to deliver my message, to become who I am designed to be. And I really don't believe, as you know, in free events, simply because people go in hoping for a free lunch, and there is no such thing for free lunch, but not because of the people who organize the free event, simply because they won't be committed. They won't treat the knowledge, the information they are given with obsession. I'm obsessed by what I do. When I enter a project, I only have that thing in mind. I don't have 10 things. Many times people asking me, so tell me 10 things you are interested in. Are you kidding me? It's only one. And I'm obsessed by it. So there is very simply, don't try to abuse people's kindness and pick up their brain. Decide what you want, be very clear on what you want, get help if you can't by yourself. I didn't arrive here by myself, Cheryl, you know. Took an army of people like yourself to build me up. And we are just starting, if you ask me. So I'm so grateful for being in my life, and I'm so grateful for everyone who was there to wake me up and twist my arm and make me uncomfortable and make me feel that there is more and make me understand that it is up to me. I can't blame the government. I never did anyway. I can't blame the economics. I can't blame the recession. I can't blame my family, my parents, my teachers, my school, my friends, my universe. No, it is just me. It is my decision to be who I am and be unshaken by other people's opinion, because you know what? When I say I don't care what other people think about me, is none of my business, I'm saying I am very busy with my own business, which is me, to deliver myself. So really and truly, listening to what other people think of you is not for me. I have something better to do. I have to listen to myself, because I decided to take responsibility for who I am and make the best of it. And I don't know where I'm going. And I was posting on our W.O.R.K.S.WORLD support group saying today that really I don't have a clue where we are going, but it's a journey. And we are in together, and I feel so humbled that each time somebody joins and somebody comes and share their story, and we're all storytellers, because done. Well, it's almost like robots could do what we are doing now. It's so perfect. And they don't need us anymore. And we might very well become a society of robots, and we are just witnessing how progress is made. But at the end of the day, you are your legacy, your message, the way you craft your message, the way you express your message, the 30-second one, the 9 minutes one, the 90 minutes one, the 3 days one. It is about your story. It is about what you've been through. And you don't want other people to go through the same experience. You want them to have a red carpet experience, if any. So you see, when people come to W.O.R.K.S.WORLD and they want to share the story and they share from the heart, they have me at hello. But when they start barking about, I don't know, some certain product that is the secret to something and the secret to something else, I'm thinking, you know what? I want you. You are the best kept secret. I don't care about anything else. I want you. My mission, my life mission is to deliver you the best kept secret. And now is the time for you to stop being the best kept secret and just share what you are made of, and bring your energy to the table and allow people to enter your world, because otherwise this big puzzle we all swim against is not, it's far from perfect. And it is far from perfect simply because somebody there it's missing. And that's the piece that is missing from the bigger picture. That bigger picture that we're all part of. And my job, my divine job, and our divine job of Radio W.O.R.K.S. World is to help people become the masterpiece. It is not something else they need to do. They're created already. We are all coming from the same divine essence. It's just how you choose, how you make your choices in life to use that divine essence, that uniqueness, that amazingness about yourself, or ignore it and just think that it's somebody else's job to be you. And guess what? Nobody else can be you. Nobody else can be me. And I'm aware of that. And I have to live with it. And it's hard sometimes when I have to, do another video like for another 100 times because it's never right. And I'm not a perfectionist. I know I'm awesome, but yet I have to put the message right. I have to make sure that whoever is taking the trouble and is investing his 3 minutes on watching me, they get something out of it, something they really need. And I think telling people what is in for them is the first rule, actually is the only rule. And unless you know your worth, unless you know what you are made of, unless you understand what you could give, they will never know.
Yeah, I agree. I agree totally with you, Marina. There's a few things, a few elements actually. So first of all, I agree totally about investing and backing yourself. And I know that not all the time people can afford what the price of some products might be. That there could be a limit. But here's the interesting thing. I don't think I've ever come across a time when I've invested in myself that I haven't learned something. I've always learned something. I might not have won. There might be some products that I've invested in before and they haven't turned out how I thought they would do, but it's either led me to another place or to a person. It always seems that there's always a reason for the action steps that you take, even if it's not where you thought it was going to go. So it's really interesting that you say that, you don't know where Radio W.O.R.K.S. World's going to go. I don't know where, the Live Love Laugh Lounge is going to go. My plan is that there will be a wise woman in every country, because there's going to be a wise woman Live Love Laugh Lounge area, because I believe that it cannot be run centrally from the UK, because there are so many variations in terms of culture and nuances of countries that it's got to be run from each of those countries with the wise women of the local community, if you like. So that's the plan, but it might not happen, but that's a plan because we're setting out on a destination. Does that make sense? And then, we might go right, we might go left, there could be a block in the road, so who knows where we will end up. So I definitely agree with you in the fact that, people who back themselves, who put an investment into themselves will, they're saying, I am definitely worth this. And it's interesting because I want to talk to L'Oreal about maybe doing a collaboration, with the wise women. And I love it because I love their strapline, which is because I'm worth it. You can go and buy the cheapest, shampoo, or you can buy some shampoo that's for you. It doesn't mean to say that you necessarily buy L'Oreal, although, I do. I know that other brands are available, and I also know that, some people prefer like a natural kind of brand or whatever. But as long as you are buying what is best for you in terms of food or things for your house or whatever, things that really kind of either make you healthy or make you happy, then that means you're investing in yourself. So we created programs at different price tiers, so there's different levels. So, £29, £69, less than £100. And I've got to be honest, if somebody cannot afford less than £100, I'd kind of be tempted to say, well, you definitely need to make a change in your life, because that's no way for anybody to exist in what is, clearly, not a third world country. There's something wrong in your life if you cannot afford that. So something's got to change, because otherwise nothing's going to change, and you'll never be able to do anything different with your life. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that because I've got an abundance of millionaire, mentality, but you have to invest in yourself. You've got to say, do you know what? I am worth it, and I am going to do something. If you don't like your life, if you like your life like that, then that's fine, no problem. stay where you are. But I agree with you, Marina, you know, don't go around trying to get everything for free, you know, because you've still got a free mentality, or you've still got a lacking mentality, and so you'll always lack. I was talking yesterday to one of my mentees who was a professional footballer, and he was saying, you know, the questions that he always gets asked is, you know, what do you do? What do you do on a daily basis? How do you live? How do I get to be like you? And just like you said, he's not saying I want you to be like me. I've got some strategies and I've got some techniques that you can use. But here's the thing: when people say to me, oh my gosh, how can I travel around the world? How can I do what you do? It's called hard work. There's no shortcut. It's hard work, it's backing yourself, it's consistently putting the effort in, and it's saying, I'm not going to accept and I'm not going to settle for average. I'm not going to settle for just getting by. I'm not going to settle for, you know, just tiptoeing to death and getting there safely. I'm going to back myself, and I'm going to do whatever it takes for me to be able to do what I want to do, which is to help others like I've been helped in the last 4 years. I want to be able to work with people that I want to work with, not people that I have to, because I don't feel like I've got a choice. And I want to work with people who are ready, willing, and able to take some action steps. Because, quite frankly, you know, if you go back to you know, being controlled and being under a command of a leader, there are some people who will stay there. But my belief is that they are yes men or women. And they'll never bring anything to the table. They'll never move the company forward. And I don't want to be surrounded by people on my program who don't take action. I don't want to be surrounded by people who just want to do a course because it's, you know, it's a cheap price. I want people who want to make a difference in their life. I want people who want to be able to do amazing things. I want people who want to understand what their why is, and not because they want to know what their why is in the future, as in, you know, what their purpose is, because obviously that's one side of finding your why. But I want people who have got the balls, if you like, men or women, to understand that the reason why they are where they are right now in their life is because of some life choices that they made, or because of some life happenings that happened. But they've got to be in a position where they're willing to find out what that shit is so that they can get rid of it. So I'm looking for people to, you know, really kind of say, okay, I'm not where I want to be. That's the first part of awareness. I know I've got some things going for me, and I just don't want to accept that this is all there is to life. Because if it means I've got to go back and look at some events in my life, if it means I've got to really look at myself and be honest about the kind of person that I am, then I'm willing to do that with your help, Cheryl, with Marion's help, Cheryl. And I'm willing to do that because I do want to know what my why is in the future. I want to make a difference, you know, to my life or my family's life. Because anybody who just accepts being told that this is the way that it is and this is who you are and you'll never, you know, be anything, well, those people have already lost. And quite frankly, there's a lot more talent in the graveyard. Because if you're walking and you think that this is all there is and you're still miserable, then you're a zombie. Does that make sense?
Wow, Cheryl, you know, I know we don't have much left for this show, and I can't wait for your next one. I'm always thinking, oh my God. But, you know, you mentioned the people who are saying yes, the yes person, which is actually the most negative person ever, because saying yes to others all the time is as if you settle for less, and you can't say no to anything in anyone but yourself, because they are saying no to themselves all the time. And to me, I just created a program which is called You Tell Them. So I've been invited to speak, and there were lots of men, or only men anyway.
Yeah.
So I end up saying, I don't know, a totally different thing than I wanted to. So, because they're only men, and when I realized, I said to say, I had to turn everything around to speak their language. And I realized that you don't let anyone to tell you who you are. You tell them. It's simple as that. And when you say yes to yourself, is evaluating yourself, assessing yourself, at least, once a week. Take some time off. I don't know, go into a basement, whatever you do, go into the forest, go on the beach, dive, whatever you do, and find that quiet place in your mind and understand what is your strategic self. Who is that you want to be? Because it's not necessarily about doing something. To me, everything happened when you witnessed that, and you helped me so much by asking me the magical question. So, what are you to next? Where before
Yes.
I thought I have to ask permission from somebody, I have to ask my mentor, I have to get people to agree with me, and I have to get I don't know, the presidents of 5 continents to agree with my dream. And you know what? Nobody cares. Yeah, you are not part of their vision, their tunnel. You are not there. They have their own. That's why they are leaders, because they got that vision and nothing can stop them. You can tell them anything, they won't hear. They know what they want. So do you. So the only option for you to really understand that you are a human being, not a human doing, and you are not enslaved by the banks, and you don't depend on somebody's good moods or your boss patting on the back, or your family's drama, or your friend's drama, or you have to create your own reality. And my dream now is my vision, and my vision is my only reality, and I am obsessed by it. I so love the way you invite people in and you give them a chance. And sometimes perhaps you don't even realize, Cheryl, how much you bring at the table. And I remember it was a time when people were asking me, so what do you bring at the table? And I will start babbling and thinking, I don't know, what do I need to bring? So now ask me, Cheryl, ask me what I bring at the table.
What do you bring to the table, Marina?
Cheryl, I bring the fucking table. So people could sit around and they could eat, can have dinner, can have fun, enjoy themselves. I bring the table. And
okay, well, you bring the table and I'll bring the fucking chairs, and then that's collaboration.
The driving chair. So Cheryl, is more than a privilege being with you here and having great conversations. I know you call it chat. To me, they're great conversations. And for our listeners, until next time, stop saying yes to everyone. Stop saying yes only to yourself, because you tell them goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.